I am here in Lenore, North Carolina, with David Clayton. We are here to talk about his campaign, his social media, and the current state of political affairs in our country. If you want to introduce yourself.
I'm David Clayton. I'm running for the United States House of Representatives, challenging 82-year-old Virginia Fox of North Carolina's District 5. My social media handles are Empathy Tour, at Empathy Tour. The handle is David Hang Loose Boomer on TikTok. And over on Instagram, it's Official Empathy Tour, all one word. I've dedicated my life to helping veterans in need, trying to better our country, not just talking about it, but being about it and trying to lead by example. And if you want to learn more about me and my campaign, you can visit Clayton, 4nc.com. Click on my issues page or my About Me page, and I hope you enjoy what you see. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And again, I will have all of those linked down below in the description of both this video and the produced videos. And how I do mine is, so I have two channels for this. The full interview will be uploaded in full because I need to cut things down for shorts and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'll cut things down. Shorts will go on the other channel, produce videos. I tell everyone to interview that because
your page, your rules. You produce what you like.
Okay, let's get started. I got 14 questions here. We'll kind of skip around depending on how you answer because a lot of them kind of lead into each other,
Sure.
so you'll cover them. Okay, so number one. Every voice for change has a moment where they realize they can no longer sit on the sidelines. Is there a specific moment like this for you?
I think it was when I got off of the bench, being very apathetic in my own life, doing very well for myself in my own life back in 2017, designing websites and being a digital marketer. And I remember it very clearly. Trump had just become president for his first term. And I was having a late night working on a client's website. I had all the toys a guy could want, a bachelor pad, and everything that is supposedly supposed to make us happy and supposed to be the definition of survival and success, is that those two things have been convoluted in today's society. And I looked down at my dog, little Boomer, Chihuahua, thought he was a miniature Labrador, and I just realized I was absolutely miserable. I was not living the existence for others to help contribute to the world and everyone in it. And I was absolutely miserable, even though I had everything I could possibly want. And that's when I decided, kind of an epiphany moment, to look around, take a deep, hard look, an introspective look, and say, all these things, the big screen TVs, the stereos, the cars, all this stuff, it's not the meaning of life. I felt like I was not living a life that my parents raised me to be. I had an estate sale, sold everything off. Prior to that, I'm jumping ahead, but just prior to that, I started saying, well, what's one problem that should be solved that no one is solving but should be easily solved? And it was homeless veterans. As I'm not a veteran myself, I always regretted that, not signing up, because I come from a long lineage of veterans. And I thought to myself, all these men and women that have served and are hurting and still not being helped today after their service. I'm over here living a life of freedom off of their sacrifice, and not much is being done to help them. So I looked up, I did some research on the latest version at the time was the 2010 Housing Urban Development Report. Looked at how much taxes were going out to houseless populations, homeless populations, veterans specifically. I looked up the VA records as far as their statistics on how many are dealing with substance abuse issues or mental instability, how many are actually accepting benefits, and the numbers were staggering to me. So I reverse engineered a drafted bill called the Character by Integrity Act to house homeless veterans, because I thought, if I'm going to live a life of freedom, then at least I'm going to leave this place one day when my time comes, making a difference. I drafted it, and I sold off everything I owned and packed up my car with the camping supplies, survival gears I had. And I only intended to go from Southern California to DC because phone calls and emails to representatives don't achieve anything anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they're just answered by aides and interns that put them in a stack, and that stack just disappears. So I was going to meet and lobby face to face with people, and I still got the blow off. I got the runaround. You know, I got from countless aides and interns. Oh, you know, the representative really cares about our veterans. Okay, well that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, what are you prepared to do about it? Here is a plan. Does not increase taxes, solves a problem. And I just completely got the runaround and blow off. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to, I had about 20 grand life savings, going to drive the country, pass out any survival gear I could acquire. And I did. I crisscrossed the nation 7 times. You know, living in the back of old 1997 4Runner with my dog, with the seats dropped down and the mattress put in the back and all my storage supplies. It's kind of like van life before there was van life, you know, except I wasn't just driving the country looking for scenic beauty to gaze out into. I was actually on a mission to find people and help them. Passed out countless fishing poles, tents, hand warmers, foot warmers, ponchos, little camping stoves, anything that could help them possibly survive. And did that for 2 years, 2017 and 2019. Specifically, I think Trump's first term broke me and got me off the sidelines because I knew he wouldn't do anything. I actually expected his first term to be as devastating as his second term, as we're seeing today with the big government and overreach and unconstitutional practice. But in his first term, he actually had adults in the room to tell him no as part of his cabinet members. Even though I didn't necessarily like his cabinet members in his first term, they still at least understood how a functioning government operates. Yeah. Today, it's just, it's the Wild West. It's just absolute chaos.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, yeah, that was what got me off. So thanks, Donald Trump, for being apathetic and saying you care about veterans and Americans and proving continually that you don't.
He hasn't served. That's all I'm saying. I'll interview a lot of veterans this summer, and I'm going to constantly remind people, Mr. Bone Spurs, the president. You've branded your account as Official Empathy Tour, saying, I've got a moral compass and a soul in most of your videos. In a political climate that often rewards aggression and owning the opposition, why did you choose empathy as your primary tool for change?
So here's the thing that's commonly misconstrued about empathy. A lot of people confuse it with sympathy. If I leave a snarky comment reply to a troll online and they say something along the lines of, oh, that's not very empathetic, I reply further and say, do you even understand the definition of the word empathy? It's not sympathy. It's absolutely not apathy. Apathy, having a lack of caring of anything. Sympathy, having an emotional response, feeling bad for another person, another subject matter. Empathy, understanding it all, understanding the pain in another, or even the joy in another, the sadness or weakness in another, or the strength and aggression of another. So empathy is not weakness by any measure. Empathy can be quite vicious because it is somebody that understands the totality of a subject matter. Empaths, it's not all roses. It's a hard life. Empaths out there would agree that you suck everything in and you feel everything. But prime example, my father took his own life when I was just before I was 21. One of the hardest things I ever had to go through. And today, I'm thankful that happened. I loved my father dearly. He was my hero. But I'm thankful because of empathy. It allowed me to understand what other people then are going through, both survivors of loved ones that have taken their own life, as well as those that are considering it and have those ideations. And it has greatly enabled me to be boots on the ground, so to speak, face to face with people in need of help, and not just give them, cliche sayings of, oh, keep your head up, everything's going to be fine, people love you. But actually sit down and talk to them, especially when I was driving the country with veterans, because, we're still plagued with this 22 a day, which is
Yeah.
actually closer to 26, 27 a day now. But to be able to actually sit with others in need, in crisis, and have a better understanding, a better foothold of what they're going through really helps them to feel like they're being heard and listened and cared about. So empathy is a blessing and a curse. It can greatly help people, and it can greatly hurt people if used correctly. I started this thing. I started naming my accounts Empathy Tour, kind of a play on words like a rock concert or a tour or Warped Tour or anything like that.
Yeah.
But an empathy tour, because one of the things that we're lacking more and more in society is understanding, and expressing compassion and decency towards other, taking the time to not just say have a nice day to somebody else, but genuinely mean it. Genuinely, anytime somebody tells me about a trauma or a loss or a heartbreak on my social media, I try to take the time to always comment back, sending strength and shared sorrow.
Yeah.
Because I think as a society, we really need to not just say we care about our fellow man and woman out there, our brethren through humanity, but actually genuinely mean it. And as a Christian myself, it's also love thy neighbor, one of my core principles. So, and that applies to anyone of any religion or no religion, atheists, theists alike. I'm not trying to convert anyone, but I will always offer them love. So that's where I came up with the empathy tour, was trying to, especially through my driving the country, trying to lead by example and encourage others to be more empathetic towards others.
Wonderful. I love the all of the veteran stuff. I mean, talk a lot about it at the Veterans Bridge Homes. And I don't really know how my internship's gonna play out this summer, because it's not like a law firm where it's like frigid. It's
Right.
gonna be very much. I hope I can do these interviews with a lot of veterans and actually share their stories.
Yeah.
Okay. As someone who has a lot of ambition myself, I believe that no one should ever be faulted for thinking too big. Do you believe that this applies to you, especially as an independent taking on the established political machine?
No. I think one of the things, no one should ever limit themselves and think that you're dreaming too big, or your ideas or your goals or your dreams are too grandiose. Shoot for the stars, carpe diem. Grab onto it, and keep in mind you will fail a million more times than you ever succeed. But you got to try. It's I hate to say YOLO, but because it's so like I'm aging myself now, but there's sincerity and truth behind YOLO. You only live once, and you got to make the most of the time you got. I'm a fan of surfing. I haven't surfed in decades, but I enjoy surfing. And I enjoyed surfing, and I enjoy surfers. And one of my favorite surfers was a year older than me. He passed on. He left this earth way too early in his life. But the movie Mavericks was based off of him, with Gerard Butler, and I can't remember the actor's name that played Jay Moriarty, and he said something that this life is so short. You just got to try to do the most of what we've got when we've got it, and try to enjoy and appreciate everything around you, because it's so fleeting. I know my vision of being an independent and going up against the political machine is grandiose. But you got to try, because the political machine has become almost like one of these banks that's too big to fail at this point.
Yeah.
And that's not true representation of the people. On the Democrat side, one of my chief arguments against one of the candidates, Chuck Hubbard, who ran in 2024, Nothing against him personally, but just something to be noted is that he's retired. So in an ever hard economy and livelihood and people getting by and worried about healthcare, or worried about retirement, or worried about livable wage or jobs or the future of the country, how much can a retired person that already has kind of a safety net for the future relate to the everyday person? So what kind of
Exactly.
direct representation is that? Kaya Creekmore is running against him on the Dem ticket side, and Kaya is just like every other American that's working like 80 hours a week to barely survive. That is more of, even though they're both my technically opposition, the point is, even though my idea as an unaffiliated independent is grandiose, it doesn't mean that it's unachievable. Number one, I never give up. Number two, but the whole kind of start behind, or frustration and start of my campaign, was that we have to return the definition of the word representative, because we just don't have it in pretty much any state anymore. The
Yeah.
American people are not being represented by those that can identify with them.
Actually, answer the next question as well. Like literally, like that's the question. Literally said, define the word representative.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on to part two, and then we'll come back to a lot of the running stuff and the
Sure.
politics. So the part two, this is the thing that I've been really, really fascinated with you specifically, with your media ecosystem and all of that, because I feel like it's kind of hard to like reach those types of people, because I can talk to like local people that are around the area, and you were running here, and I was like, what? So you've built a significant presence on Instagram and other platforms like TikTok. Was there a deliberate strategy behind this media ecosystem, or did it evolve naturally from your posts and interactions?
Evolved naturally from my posts and interactions. My growth, my social media growth. I hate the word influencer. I prefer content creator, because
Yeah.
there's a difference, and you see it outright. You see content creators, especially engaged around social awareness campaigns and activism, that are being activists and are raising awareness of social injustice. And then you see influencers that are doing content just for their own self gain.
Yeah.
There's a clear
Big
difference. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's absurd. And generally, you can identify them pretty easily in the last 48 hours as of February 5th, because you'll see a group of content creators saying, look, I don't get political, guys. I just want to get back to talking about my niche. It's like, yeah, you're an influencer. You only care about yourself. Period. Anyone that says that they don't get political is a liar. Everything in our world today is political. Any given subject is political. Even if somebody's hawking a pair of sweatpants on their social media, there's politics behind that. The price of goods, how were they produced, where were they produced? Every single aspect of life is political. So that's just a cop-out for people that have already taken a side and are being acceptance of the negative things that are happening today, because it's not affecting them directly. But I didn't plan on this. And I am proud, very proud to say, I have never once in my life on social media bought a fake follower. Because there are these websites out there that sell fake followers to boost up a follower count number. And it happens. I've seen it on it's nonpartisan. It's on both sides of the aisle of content creators.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I think one of the number one things people remark about my content, my style of content, is it's not scripted. It's on the fly. I speak off the cusp. I literally pick up my phone and say, I'm not MAGA, please don't scroll. I've got a moral compass and a soul. Let's talk about this. And I get into it. I hate saying that intro line, even though it's helped, especially with marginalized communities that see me and the flag at half-mast behind me, and they're honestly triggered. So without that intro, they want to instinctively scroll now, because they see a guy that looks MAGA. which I absolutely am not.
I hate that, like, just being a white man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I know
It's
what you're
understandable.
saying. Yeah.
It's completely understandable. So I am tired because I don't like that's my thing, even though a lot of other people like it. I was really hoping November 6th, 2024, that I would never have to say it again with a Harris victory. But here we are today. But yeah, I think a lot of people comment that they appreciate, people are desperate for authenticity and people being genuine, especially on social media today. They don't want to see, there's always going to be accounts that are doing their dress up or have skits or have props and things like that. They're fun and they're funny and they garner a lot of attention and a lot of support. But even a lot of those, like this young woman by the name of Lysandra, puts makeup on and dresses up, and she's a comedian, a brilliant comedian, and she makes fun of Carolyn Levitt mostly, primarily.
Is she the one with like the giant crosses?
Right,
yeah.
yeah. She's brilliant. But even her comedy has truth and authenticity behind it, even if she's playing dress up. But you see other social medias where it just feels fake and pushed and too doctored and edited.
Yeah.
It looks like they actually put money behind the production value. People are kind of sick and tired of
sure.
that. They want quick, to the point, authentic, genuine posts, and I think that's one of the things I'm proud of in building up. I don't even like to say following, but community. Because people appreciate someone that just tells it like it is and isn't.
Yeah. And the other thing too
love.
is you're able, because it's not produced for you. All you do is really put subtitles on it. You're able to get ahead easily. Like, something big happens.
Right.
I've seen you a lot post within like 15 minutes.
I do a lot of reactionary posting because honestly, some days it's hard to even want to post. With the state of affairs and everything, this is all affecting us and our mental health. And some days it's like, dude, this used to be fun. I used to actually enjoy talking into my phone, my camera, but I don't feel like posting today. And then you scroll for 2 seconds and you're like, man, it's just this feeling inside is getting worse. I don't want to see any of this crap. But I do a lot of reactionary posting when I get pissed off about something.
Fair.
Like I made a post yesterday.
It's
completely suppressed on TikTok, but it has like not much.
Isn't it because
it's like 100,000 views? But Larry Ellison on TikTok.
I haven't heard that much about it. It's just stupid. Yeah.
And all the MAGA people, influencers, and micro-influencers were saying that they were being censored and suppressed when Biden was president. It's like, man, you guys got no clue what actual suppression and censorship looks like. But yeah, I made a post last night. It was just emotional, and I try to be more controlled. Emotion's good, but you can't let it overtake you in certain circumstances and things like that.
Yeah,
I believe you can feel it, you can express it, but I got a little emotional, pissed off last night because I watched that interview with J.D. Vance and Megyn Kelly, and they're talking about Clayton Collins asking about the survivors to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump telling her to smile. She never smiles. And J.D. Vance and Megyn Kelly are laughing about it and being like, yeah, just have fun. Just smile more. It's like, dude, they're literally talking about children being raped. What in God's green earth is there to smile about? What is the matter with you people? Like, it's the level of, I want to say apathy, saying that they don't care. But it actually feels, at this point, more sadistic than that and intentional. Like they do care, but for completely the wrong reasons. Like they're taking enjoyment off of all of this. And that really pisses me off. That really enrages me. There should be one thing, regardless of policy, that the most hardcore MAGA or the most hardcore leftist agrees on, is that you don't do this shit to kids.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be up for debate.
And that you really shouldn't need to tell journalists to smile. It's not their job to sit there and suck up to the president. we'll come back to that for sure. The last question for the content creation, something that I definitely want to put in there to feel uplift is, what do you feel the greatest thing that you've done positively with your platform is?
Give hope, especially worldwide. I get a lot of comments from the UK and Europe, Germany, France, Canada, Mexico. Um, I get a lot of comments out of country that are like, finally, there's a sane American, because stuff is just so absolutely absurd and ridiculous. And I mean, let's be honest, there are millions upon millions upon millions of people just like me. I'm not the only sane American, obviously. But they appreciate hearing that. And for my fellow Americans, hope. A lot of people say that they look forward to my posts because it makes them feel like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I don't sugarcoat it. I do try to express hope core and give people hope of the future. But I don't sugarcoat it. I'm still saying to this day, it is going to get substantially worse, catastrophically worse, still yet before it gets better. We haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg on how much worse it could get. And I want people to be ready for that. But right now, they need to be mindful of their mental health and the emotional fatigue that it's taking a toll on everybody, so that when the fight does happen, people are ready and not already exhausted, as is the playbook and as is the plan in any kind of psychological warfare. They are literally trying to wear out the populace so that when the fight does come, people are just say, I don't have any more energy left.
Yeah.
So I do try to express hope and hope core with a sense of realism behind it, and saying like, hey, you gotta protect your mental health, and you gotta pace yourself, because there is a fight to come.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Now into the fun part that you're used to talking about. So, we saw recently that Taylor Remmett flipped a reliably red Texas seat by 31 points. And we talk a lot about midterms in my political science classes, and they always provide a check on the current administration. 2026 could live up to be one of the greatest checks in history, but just because of how much frustrations Americans feel. Right. Do you feel that this national climate, where voters have a lot of frustration, increases your chances of getting elected as an independent?
Yes, as long as the elections are actually free and fair. And people, I think people will turn out like never before, because typically most people show up for general elections, but not so much midterms. Presidential every 4-year general elections as opposed to midterms. I think we're going to see numbers, because of how bad things are, people showing up in the midterms like never before. I have expressed continually since November 6th concern about the integrity of our elections, and extreme frustration and disappointment on the Democrat side. The powers that be, from the Senate to the House, and their ranks below them, that there wasn't a single verbal contestation on the election results, for fear of sounding like a MAGA tinfoil hat 2020 election denier. And I really wish the powers that be would understand that's by design. That is by design. I do not trust the 2024 election results. We saw. I know there's nothing that can be done for it, because we haven't put in the protocols and remedies after it's certified and done. That's it. And we really need to put in those safeguards that, hey, even if something's certified, just to get the transfer of government happening, there still needs to be not platforms. What am I trying to say? There needs to be mechanisms to be able to go back and say, hey, we need a revote or something, if we find that like the paper the hand counts aren't matching up to the digital counts and things like that. We don't have those mechanisms in place, and we absolutely should have. Since Bush v. Gore and it went to the Supreme Court, we should have put those mechanisms in place. So, yeah, if we don't, Donald Trump and Steve Bannon and all them claim illegal immigrants. Scratch that. Undocumented migrants, illegally vote and steal elections, which is completely fabricated nonsense, debunked. There are no statistics. Less than 0.004% is voter fraud in our elections. Less than 0.00004. So that's just their riling up their racism base and trying to have a red herring that doesn't exist. The problem is that just because they're lying about their claim of election integrity doesn't mean that the system also can't be compromised itself with throwing away millions of legitimate votes, like we saw as far back as 2020 with Ken Paxton in Texas, discarding 2 million votes, something like that. So there are areas within our system that is compromised, and the more wireless and cloud-based and satellite transmissions and all these different things, Starlink and things like these. I'm not alleging there was any specific breach in the system, but I'm not saying that it's not possible at the same time. So the more we get more coded based as opposed to hand paper ballot based, the more there is for vulnerability to the systems. And it's exactly what Putin did to Russia and how he remained in power. It's exactly what Lukashenko did in Belarus and how he remained in power. It's exactly what Maduro did in Venezuela and how he remained in power. So the more these systems are being advertised as more efficient and cheaper to maintain and all these different things doesn't mean that they're not vulnerable. So just because one side of the aisle, like MAGA and Steve Bannon and Trump, are saying that it's a stolen election if he loses, it's only fair and free if he wins, doesn't mean that the system doesn't need to be seriously looked at. And that's my worry for these midterms. And we'll see. I don't know. He's not as connected with Elon as he was during the 2024.
Because they didn't allow him to the island.
Right. Right. That was so weird. Imagine how much of a horrible human being you innately are to be ghosted by the most horrible human being.
It's insane.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's too weird for even them. That's just I can't stand Elon Musk. He's a racist. He's a white supremacist. He's a South African apartheid supporter. He meddles in promoting racism and neo-Nazi rhetoric in other countries. Elon Musk is a danger to humanity. Period.
That's fair.
No.
And then we saw, I think last week, I don't know the date, in Fulton County, the FBI raided the Department of Elections there, and
with
the director of National Intelligence was just there on her phone.
Illegally. And that needs to be stated clearly. It was unlawful for Tulsi Gabbard to be on scene and intertwined with the FBI's raid by having an open phone call with the President of the United States of America. It's completely against the law. We have laws on the books since, I think it was 1974 was the last updated version of it, but it goes back to like 1874, that our country's, not 1874, what am I talking about? Yeah, 1874 I think was the last law. Or the original, but it's been updated, of course, over the years. But we absolutely have laws on the book that intelligence agencies that we have, whether it be the NSA, CIA, DNI, Director of National Intelligence, all the apparatuses of our intelligence agencies are not allowed to conduct investigations on domestic soil. Period. That is for the FBI and the FBI only.
They don't-
But this FBI
Yeah.
doesn't care. Kash Patel doesn't care.
Kash Patel shouldn't be there. I mean,
Kash Patel
the president
said-
shouldn't be there either. So
No,
it's not.
yeah, it shouldn't
you know.
be. Kash Patel said that Donald Trump's name isn't mentioned 1,000 times in the Epstein files, isn't mentioned 500 times, isn't mentioned 100 times. Openly committed perjury while in her hearing being questioned by Eric Swalwell. And come to find out, just in what's been released, because there's still so much that hasn't been released, that Donald Trump's name is mentioned over 38,000 times.
Yeah. I don't have a question.
So,
On
and
the
I'm
files,
curious
yeah.
about Tulsi Gabbard and this whistleblower. This
Oh, yeah.
latest story about the
I saw
whistleblower
that.
that is so sensitive with our national security that the only thing they could think to do with it was lock it in a safe. And they don't know how to give it to Congress, to disclose it to Congress without risking our national security.
Like, I don't even know how to phrase that in my head because there has been so much crazy stuff the past 4 years that something could be that crazy.
commit defamation or libel or however you want to categorize it, or be accused of it. Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset and a traitor to the United States of America. Period.
It's fair. I'm not worried about who cares.
It's one of the things. A lot of people are scared about what they say online
Yeah.
for being sued. I say bring it, because if anyone sues me, then we start the discovery portion of that lawsuit. You may win in the end, but I'm going to expose every single damn thing in your life.
I also feel like legally, if you're not directly calling out someone, like you're stating something that is highly believable
Right.
as a fact. It's not like you're saying, oh, something about her own personal health or safety.
Oh no, I'm
You know?
directly calling her a Russian spy. She
Which
is
can
a
be
Russian,
easily proved, too.
She is a
Yeah.
Russian asset. She absolutely is involved with the FSB, KGB. Her visits to Syria and her friendship with Assad, and she's her family's from a cult, plain and simple, in Hawaii.
Really? Oh yeah, I haven't really heard about
Yeah,
that. That's
I
interesting.
can't remember the name of the cult, but it's some offset of Hinduism, but nothing. They claim it's an offset of Hinduism,
Yeah.
but it's nothing
a
of
cult,
of
basically.
Hinduism. It's a cult, and it's incredibly hateful and misogynistic and homophobic, and basically it's Christian nationalism without calling itself Christian nationalism.
Basically.
It's a cult. It's literally designated as a cult. They have one central figure that is, supposedly the next Rosh Hashanah or whatever the god of Hinduism is.
Krishna.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna, yeah. So they have a central figure in their church that says, like, I am the second coming of Hare Krishna or whatever. It's like, man, you're not. You're a nut job.
Okay. The cults are very, very fascinating to me. So, like I was saying, I haven't put a question specifically in here about Epstein because I absolutely assumed we would talk about it. And this question certainly leads into it. But before I say that, I do want to absolutely say that my video is specifically for me. I'm not going to just get out here and talk about stuff all the time, but I'm not going to hide what I believe, that the fact that all of these rich people doing all of this crazy shit need to absolutely be held accountable. And I don't care if they're retired like Bill Clinton. You know what I mean? It's
not political.
So frustrating. And that's why
it's moral. It's not political.
That's why I love David so much, because he's that voice. Because I can't go out there and say all of this stuff because I'm in college and I'm trying to apply to law school. I'm not going to go out there and accuse a bunch of rich people who very much could be associated with, law schools. So, what do you say to people who feel scared to speak out or get involved because they feel powerless or that the system is too broken to fix?
What do you have to lose at this point? But how much worse could it possibly get? People are afraid of losing their job, not getting into law school. When they can't afford a law school to begin with, they can't afford to work at their job to begin with. What does anyone else have to lose at this point, besides standing up and fighting back and physically not talking about changing the system and what needs to be fixed, but physically doing it. I mean, I know that's hard. I know not everyone can because people have kids or responsibilities, other things, commitments. Uh, how much worse does it have to get without affecting you directly, but affecting everyone else that encourages you to say, I can't live in this world like this. You know, a lot of people worry about with Epstein that and the global network because it contains names like Vladimir Putin, Benjamin Netanyahu, Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, Saudi Arabia, former Prince Andrew of England, and so many more. Former prime ministers of Israel besides Benjamin, not Netanyahu, Baruch, whatever. And a lot of people are worried, like, well, shit, this is the entire global world order here. If we hold them all accountable, the whole system will fall down. And my response to that is let it fall down and let's rebuild. Why would you want to live in a world based on this foundation? It's a corrupt foundation will never be sustainable. Will never help those living within it. Only the ones benefiting off of the corruption. So let it fall down, let it collapse, and rebuild because we are better than this. We deserve better than this. You know, it's tricky. I understand not everybody can rise up, can take to the streets, can fight back, can say what they want to say openly. But at what point do we stop and look around and say, what do I have to lose anymore? And I will remind everyone, as I say many times in my videos, stronger together, together stronger. There are more of us than them. But the thing I want everyone to realize within that, and especially these rich, evil people, still to this day, harming innocent others and kids. Because just because Epstein is dead and Maxwell's locked up doesn't mean that network magically shuts down. Yeah. These evil incarnate people will find their sources elsewhere. So I will remind everyone feeling powerless, again, to requote, stronger together, together stronger, but this is the key point I want you to focus on. There is nothing more dangerous in this world than someone with nothing left to lose. And that someone with nothing left to lose is not just a one-off here and there anymore. There are billions of people that have been pushed down so far because of a corrupt, unequal system that has progressively, we essentially have no middle class anymore. There's two classes, up and down. No, that's primarily it. And the up, if we allow them to not abide by the laws, it's just going to get worse. They're going to keep on breaking them. So, you know what? Don't feel scared of yourself when you look around and you're so angry that you want to do something, and you've got nothing left to lose. Because I promise you, there's billions of people right next to you feeling the exact same way. And a lot of people quote my social media posts the Ants movie. You know, the scene between the grasshoppers and the ants or something like that. And they're like, if the ants outnumber us, 80-1. If they ever realize that, then we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shift. It's a paradigm shift in what's happening in humanity today. Because throughout our growth, we didn't have this population throughout the world that we do now. So we always have experienced conquests and empires and all these different things, Romans and Mongolians or the British colonials, colonizers, and all of these different things. But human beings' population size throughout the world was nothing compared to what it is today. So those powerful few back then could more easily control the populations of back then. Today, we're at 8.5 billion.
It's insane. Yeah.
People. They can't control us much longer, and we are just about at that turning point. I hate that word, turning point. They just completely co-opted it.
The whole
Anyway, but that's my message of hope and feeling like don't feel like you're powerless, because there truly are more of us than them, and eventually it's going to be like a flood of. It's not going to be a blue tsunami and voting. It's going to be a flood of humanity, a tsunami of humanity, just enveloping everything.
It's fair. Last question, and you basically have been answering this for the past couple minutes. To wrap up, Darden misspoke. I have a whole day of class ahead of me. Okay, I'm a bit tired.
Hey, pace yourself. Pace yourself.
To wrap up, Dr. Martin Luther King has a famous saying that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. This only happens because of the actions people take. What gives you the most optimism that we are currently bending that arc in the right direction?
Because the negative overreach and oppression is affecting too many people at this point. Kind of going back to my last answer about the massive amounts of population size worldwide of innocent individuals or just normal human beings trying to live their life and being forced not to, being held down against just the most basic forms of living your life. You see enough injustices and enough people violently rise up. JFK saying when you make peaceful revolution impossible, violent revolution is inevitable. I never advocate for violence. I understand it when it happens, especially if it's in a defensive measure of protecting others. I understand of the whole pendulum swinging back and forth between right and wrong and moral and immoral cycles. And Martin Luther King Jr., my favorite quote of his of all time, which no one ever posts. I think I've never seen it once other than me post it online on MLK Jr. Day. But is a man has yet to live until he can look beyond the narrow confines of his own individualistic self and onto the concerns of all of humanity. And because of empathy toward everything and really trying to feel other people and care for other people, that quote always spoke to me, is that you're not really, you think you're living your life only caring about yourself, but until you put that aside and really focus on other people and their lives, only then will you really, in my personal opinion, understand the meaning of life and why this is all so important and why this is all so special.
Awesome. Any other final words about anything campaign-wise?
Clayton, the number 4 NC. March 3rd is the primary and our signature deadline date. I believe we can make that goal of collecting enough signatures to get on the ballot. If we can't, we'll cross that bridge just before it when we come to it. But I'm never going to give up if I can't. I believe if I can get on the ballot for 2026, I will handedly win, especially with my social media presence, because that alone is worth millions upon millions of dollars of ad spend that I don't have to spend
pay for that, basically,
because it's organic reach. If I cannot get on the ballot because I have not been able to collect enough signatures, because it takes people, it takes time, it takes money to go door to door. It's not just holding an event and 10,000 people show up. All of that takes money, unfortunately. So if you can contribute, Clayton the number 4 NC.com, I appreciate. But worst case scenario, we win in 2028.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Either way, I'm going to fix the system. I'm going to break it first, get in, break it, to be able to fix it, to make room for your generation to come in and do what needs to be done. Awesome.
And you have a lot of whole campaign ideas, and we can certainly talk about that another time. I definitely, especially with the term limits and everything, it's very, very fascinating. If you're able to get the signature deadline this year, I'll absolutely reach back out to you in the fall.
Yeah.
I could still reach out to you in the fall, but we'll be talking about like the midterms in general.
Yeah, sure.
And then, I mean, I'll keep following you for the next, however much longer. So if you decide to run again in 2028, I'll have to hit you up, fly down from New York or something.
I'll be more than happy to make time. This is my home. Yeah, proud to call myself an adopted son of North Carolina.
Love that. Me too. I was born in California. I've been here since I was 4. So, but this has been an interview with David Clayton.
Thank you so much.
Handshake on camera. And yeah.